So, if you are in the anime community, the anime online community, you may be aware of the conversation, the discourse going around about anime tourists. And essentially, what anime tourists are is, at least from the way that certain people have been describing it, is that it's people who have become fans of anime since like COVID, so like 2020, who a lot of like more experienced people who have been in the anime community for a long time, they're just not as knowledgeable on the subject. They watch like the mainstream channels. It's like casual fans, essentially. That's what I'm trying to get at. They're casual fans, people who don't really get into like the deep stuff. Like they usually stick to like the top shows of the season and really nothing else. That's what, at least like it sounds like to me. The reason why I'm even talking about this, because I don't really talk about anime all that much, but I have a lot of opinions when it comes to gatekeeping in certain online pop culture fandoms. Because I am an anime fan, but I don't really interact with the online anime community all that much. But I do have experience with the comic book community. I do have experience with the pro wrestling community, the gaming community to a certain extent. So like I do have I do have experience when it comes to niche pop culture online communities and how annoying they could be. Like when I talked about in my video where I said that I was done with pro wrestling, I did bring up the fact that I felt like that the pro wrestling community had just kind of gotten really annoying. I mean, they always have been annoying, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. So the way that I learned about this whole anime tourist discourse was because I got recommended a TikTok on my For You page by this guy, LN Historian, who was essentially talking about this anime tourist Discord, as well as this video that Joey Bazinga, the anime man. You know him as the anime man. I know him as the anime man. I used to be a big fan of the Trash Taste podcast. I just don't know how the fuck to say his last name, even though I'm pretty sure he brought it up in one of the Trash Taste episodes of how some people pronounce his name like Bazinga. But Joey, the anime man, essentially made a video talking about this whole anime tourist discourse, and this really stems from a video that was made by the anime men that have no relation to Joey, the anime man. And it comes from a video that they did where the group, the anime men, watched every single first episode of every single most popular show. I'm pretty sure it was like every year since like anime first started. I'm not sure how far back they went. I think it was like the 1980s and 1990s maybe. It was a video that I saw a lot of people clowning on, and I didn't really take that much notice. And I was like, oh, these people have like trash opinions and people are making fun of them. You know what? Go for it. Like, fuck it. Who cares? maybe I'll watch one of those videos, but who gives a fuck? It's fun to fucking dunk on people's bad taste, but I did not think it was going to turn into this much of a problem. It seems like it's really just kind of a thing of older fans just getting mad at younger fans for having wrong opinions or opinions that they don't like. And again, I'm not going to try to get into this stuff later on, but from what I saw when I was like kind of looking into this discourse, at least on Twitter, was that a lot of the people who were using anime tourist unironically tended to be people who were just trying to use the term as a gotcha against people who are bringing up concerns that they had with the anime community and like certain tropes in anime. Like people who would bring up like how minors tended to be over sexualized in anime, and they think that that's a problem, and it's hard to argue that it isn't, in my opinion. Like, I love anime, but yeah, I wish that a large amount of anime didn't have the issues of trying to sexualize their minor characters. But then you will see people like quote retweet those people and be like, these anime tourists are ruining the community by saying that we shouldn't sexualize child characters. Like that sort of shit. And again, I don't want to like paint everyone who's using the anime tourist term under that umbrella, but like that's literally like a good chunk of people who I've seen when it comes to this discourse. Like a lot of these people who like, you know, call other people anime tourists were pointing out problems that they have with the anime community and the industry. Like literally there are people who like use the term anime tourist unironically, who have like had controversies in the past of like being a pedo. But like getting back to like where this all came from, you know, the anime men made their video, a lot of people clouded on them, and this kind of turned into like a niche discourse about like anime tourists and shit like that. And the anime man Joey, who has been on YouTube for a very long time now, decided to make a video about it. And in Joey's credit, I do think that he does try to stay somewhat neutral on this topic. He does talk about the fact that like anime tourists are a good I fucking hate using that term. Essentially he's saying like more people becoming fans of anime is good because it allows the anime industry to become bigger. It's something that I saw like Saros TV bring up, was like having more people become fans of anime is good, even if some of them are fucking annoying, because it allows the industry to grow more, allows more money to go into the industry, so that this thing that you love has better outreach. That way you can get like more out of the stuff that you love. You could get more merchandise, you could get more ways to watch these shows, you could get more options for different shows. Like you don't have to just stick to a few things that come out. Like you get a large pool of options when it comes to the medium you digress if anime continues to grow. It's essentially like what Saros TV was trying to say. And Joey does say a bit in this video. I've already seen this entire video from start to finish, so we're not gonna like be reacting to it. But my problem with this video is that, again, it comes off very much as like an old school fan who is just like not able to contend with the fact that like he doesn't get a say in what the media is, like what the medium is, and like what the online space is. It feels like Joey and a lot of these other people who unironically use the term anime tourists are trying to like put a bubble on the anime community without realizing that it's just not going to work. Of being like, we need to keep these outsiders in their own little space, and we, the true anime fans, will control like the discourse or what the medium is. But like you don't. It's very like pretentious, like thinking that like you have any say with the community that you are in, not also realizing that like on some level anybody who is a fan of anything would be considered a tourist of that thing. Like every person who becomes an anime fan is a quote unquote anime tourist at the end of the day at some point in their life, even if it's Joey or any of these other people who are trying to like use it as this like derogatory term of like just casual fans or people they just don't agree with at the end of the day. Like going back to the video that made me aware of this discourse, it comes from this guy. Yeah, it's LN Historian. We'll be watching this TikTok as well as Joey's response to this, because he does give his response to something that this guy says in his TikTok, as well as the further response. And I'm pretty sure this is where it ends, at least in terms of their exchange with one another. So we're gonna watch this.
There's a certain group of anime fans that I find the most embarrassing, and it's those who unironically use the word tourists. It's gotten so bad that even big names in the community, like the Anime Man, are pushing the term. In his latest video, he actually compares anime tourists to the colonization of the Americas. Are we serious right now? You are really comparing anime becoming mainstream to the death of millions and countless atrocities? That's a new low. And before anyone says, well, Joey didn't come up with the comparison originally, he literally says in the video, this is exactly what anime tourists are doing. And of course, it doesn't stop at just the Anime Man. The same crowd that throws around tourist are also the ones who defend the adult framing of minors in anime. Case in point.
So yeah, that's literally something that he says in the video. Okay, so like this, okay, that's not a great freeze frame. I'm not trying to do this in any like meaningful way. That's just like a terrible way to stop.
It must be bad. I don't remember where I saw it, but I remember seeing a comment on like a TikTok or a YouTube video or something where somebody called these anime tourists or at least this new rise or era of anime tourists as the Columbus era of anime. You know, much like Christopher Columbus, who went to the Americas, mistook it for India, and called the natives now a term that I'm not allowed to say anymore, and claimed the land for themselves because he was like, well, I discovered it, and fuck all of you guys. This is my place now. And I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what these anime tourists are doing. They're like coming to these unfamiliar lands, planting their flag in the soil, and going, we own this land now. Out of the way, previous people. Your opinions are irrelevant now because you are old and your time is up and you don't know what good anime is anymore. But at the same time...
But is that what's actually happening, or is that what you think is happening? And like, yeah, that's the clip. And a lot of people are accusing this guy, LN, of taking this clip out of context, but like what they're accusing LN of doing is taking it out of context and trying to use the defense of, oh, he saw, like he's just referring to this tweet or whatever that he saw in like a way of like, oh, he doesn't actually agree with this or something like that. It's like, oh, or it's not, it doesn't count because it's not his original opinion or his original analogy. Like, the way that people have been trying to defend his usage of this, it's so fucking weird because like he makes it so blatant that he agrees with the analogy. And here's the thing, I'm not one who is shy of using extremist language, at least when it comes to like analogies, but this is a weird case of using it, of being like, yeah, let me call these casual anime fans colonizers. Like, let me compare them to colonizers who literally fucking killed a vast amount of the indigenous population of the land that they conquered. Like, let me compare these annoying casual fans to this group of fucking murderers. Like, it's very extreme language. It's a very extreme example. It's not one that I feel like actually even fits in this case, and we'll kind of get back to this when it comes to Joey's response, but like it's not that serious. It's really not. It's my big problem with this video from Joey is that like the fact that this is a 24-minute video about anime tourism, the fact that like you can make that long of a video in regards to, oh, there's like a group of people within the community who just have shit opinions, and trying to make this seem like it's a serious problem, it's just ridiculous. And he even brings up in this video that a big reason why he kind of fell off of anime a bit is because of the anime community. And look, I can understand not wanting to participate in a certain community if they're being annoying. Like I said earlier when referring to my Why I Quit Pro Wrestling video, I talked about how annoying the pro wrestling community was. But before I really gave up on pro wrestling, I was already kind of like making sure I wasn't that much in the community by like, clicking not interested on posts that referred to pro wrestling by people I didn't follow. Like dwindling down the people who I followed who covered pro wrestling and shit like that, because like I just didn't really care all that much. I still watched pro wrestling, but because I had such a problem with the community, I was still able to enjoy the art while also tuning out the opinions of others that like didn't really matter. Like, you don't need to necessarily be a part of a community to enjoy a certain art form. And if you feel like those are intertwined, that kind of says a lot about you and the way you interact with all this stuff, that it's a problem that you need to deal with yourself, because you should be able to enjoy whatever you want to enjoy without needing to deal with the community around it. So that also just adds another layer of weirdness when it came to this video of like, if you claim to be such a big anime fan as you are, why does it matter if the community is annoying for you to enjoy this medium or not? If you enjoy the medium, you should not give a fuck what this community says. You should just be able to form your own fucking opinion on this shit, or be able to enjoy it outside of the community. Like, who cares? But let's get back to the TikTok.
There's another huge creator with nearly 1 million subscribers who called out one of my mutuals for just criticizing people buying a barely clothed Nezuko figure. Like, is this really what you want to defend? Why are you so pressed about this? To make it worse, this guy even called my mutual a hoodweeb, which I didn't even know the meaning of at first, so I had to look it up. Turns out it's a derogatory term to describe black people who like anime. So now we're not only gatekeeping anime, but gatekeeping it based on race? How is this not embarrassing for the community?
Yeah, so what he's saying there is real. Like, there are people who who use anime tourists unironically and also are just like extremely racist. Like, this is something that I kind of was talking about a bit earlier on when I was like looking up the discourse on this on like Twitter. A lot of the people who would unironically use anime tourists against like casual fans or people they didn't like, when you looked at who those people were following, ugh, like, this isn't just like the case of like, you know, this is purely just an anime thing. Like, a lot of these people are like right-wing weirdos. Like, when it comes to like the person I mentioned earlier, like chibi reviews and shit like that, like a bunch of these people who you will see being like, we need to get rid of these anime tourists, we need to protect our community, they're fucking weirdo right-wing creeps. Like, that's the thing. Like, this isn't just like, oh, this isn't purely just purist anime fans going up against, you know, casual fans. This is weirdos within the anime community who are trying to get rid of people that they don't agree with. Mostly people who are just acknowledging the problematic shit that is a norm within the anime community, like the sexualization of minors. So, while I don't fully believe that Joey is siding with those people, or also don't see those people as being a problem, when he makes this video about anime tourism, he is very much putting himself on the side of a lot of these like problematic people who are just fucking weirdos. Again, I could talk about this further because like I am aware of some of the creators that like are doing this, but like I don't want to fucking like really go into some of these people because they're just so fucking weird. They're just creepy, bro. Like, this is like a dangerous discourse when it comes to like the anime community because it's propping up like these right-wing names who are just like only going to make the community worse by giving them a voice. And even though he's not like, you know, showing support for these people, when Joey is making a video like this, it just fuels those people's arguments because now they have a big name within the community who supports them. When I saw this video by Ellen Historian and I got way more into, you know, this discourse, yeah, it makes sense. It's right. He's in the right. And a lot of people have been attacking him because of this. And like I said earlier, Joey has now made a video in regards to this, his response. And he only really focused on one part of that, but we'll be getting into that.
He actually compares anime tourists to the colonization of the Americas. Are we serious right now? You are really comparing anime becoming mainstream to the death of millions and countless atrocities.
My guy, chill. It's not that deep.
Yeah, it's not that deep, bro. Stop criticizing the analogy that I brought up in my video. Where I say that these anime tourists are the same as colonizers. Like, you can't say it's not that deep when you're the one who brought up the analogy. Like, again, even if you didn't originally say it, like he says, he found it somewhere else and is just bringing it up. The fact that you bring it up in your video and are like, yeah, I agree with this, you can't use the defense of like, oh, it's not that deep.
May I remind you, we are literally talking about Japanese cartoons. It's really not that deep, okay?
And here's again another example of like how stupid this argument is of like, oh, it's not that deep, bro. Like, this sort of shit. If it's not that deep, why even make this video? Like, who cares about anime tourists in the anime community if it's just, in your opinion, just Japanese cartoons? It's not that deep. Like, who cares? You can't like say it's not that deep. Why do you care so much about this when you made a 24-minute video of being like, oh, these annoying fans are a problem? Like, I don't have any problem of like dunking on people's terrible opinions. Like, I didn't give a shit when people were doing it with the anime men in their video. Like, I don't give a shit. If you want to dunk on someone's horrible opinions, do that as much as you want. I definitely do it. I like doing it. When you're trying to make this a big problem, only to turn around when someone calls you out for using a very extreme example for this very silly issue and just trying to be like, oh, it's not that deep. How do you not look at the entire Discord, like the entire scenario that you have been surrounded with, this entire discourse that's within your community, and not apply it there too? Like, if it's not that deep, why even comment on it?
I'm sorry you feel that way, but completely misconstruing the point that I made, not understanding what an analogy is, all from a 30-second Twitter clip that comes from a 24-minute YouTube video, and making it way too overly political for your own good.
This is just such like fucking centrist bullshit framing of being like, why do you have to make this so political? This is taken out of context. We saw the clip. This, like, what I showed you was longer than the clip that he showed on Twitter. What's the context here? We know the context. You found this analogy and you agreed with it. It's like him also being like, I'm sorry you don't know what the analogy is. Like, no, he understands. You're just trying to spin this in a way of like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, without actually like, he's just trying to avoid actually trying to talk about this. And instead is just trying to point this guy as being bad faith. Like, that's it. He's not actually going to talk about like the content of the actual video. He's just like, oh, you're acting in bad faith. You're being too political. This was something that also appeared within this segment that he was talking about, when he was talking about, you know, the analogy.
Columbus era of anime? You know, much like Christopher Columbus, who went to the Americas, mistook it for India, and called the natives now a term that I'm not allowed to say anymore, and
like, the way that he phrases it there, of like, oh, he called them a name that I'm not allowed to say anymore, and then you compare it to like what he's saying here, it's giving off like a it's giving off like an anti-SJW like sort of vibe of being like, oh, these woke tards are trying to stop me from saying the things I want to say.
It's just not my problem, okay? You've been watching too much anime. You've been on the internet for far too long. So why don't we put the phone down slowly, go outside, bask in a little bit of vitamin D, and just relax for a little bit.
Again, he's just doing all like this bullshit of being like, just go outside, touch grass, without actually interacting with anything the other guy said in his video. I'm just trying to point out this guy who was bringing up a comparison that he made. This is ridiculous. Why is he using this extreme example to talk about this anime tourist discourse? And instead of interacting with that video, like actually talking about what was being referred to, he's just doing like something that like fucking everybody does when they're just trying to avoid actually like discuss anything important. This is a big problem that I have with the Trash Taste Boys, because I used to be a big fan of theirs. I used to, but over time it became very clear that like these guys just don't really have a fucking backbone when it comes to like anything of importance.
Okay? Maybe go out there and read a book.
So yeah, he's just not gonna like actually interact with what this guy said. He's just gonna try to like mischaracterize this as just him being too political or whatever. So Ellen also then made a response to Joey's response, I guess you could call it that. So here's what he had to say.
You make a political analogy comparing anime tourists and colonization, and when I call you out on said political analogy, you tell me I'm too political and need to go outside. Alright, bro. To clarify my point in your part of the video, all I was saying is that I find it embarrassing how some anime fans act like victims whenever new people, let's call them normies, join the community. I'm not saying you're one of the extreme voices. In fact, I thought you were pretty light. My only issue was the comparison. As a major figure in the community, you're almost normalizing this analogy, and in doing so, giving more ammo to these extreme fans. If you've been paying attention recently, you would have noticed the community has gotten pretty extreme and reactionary. Just look at the controversy with Bocchi the Rock that's happening right now. I find often that the term anime tourist is at the center of all of this. Honestly, it's starting to feel a lot like the pipeline we saw in the gaming community back in the late 2010s. I don't think you're personally pushing this rhetoric, but I included your analogy in my last video because it truly reflects how these anti-tourists see themselves. And also, side note about the two political parts, I don't think you can separate art and politics, and anime is no exception. Politics is an inherent aspect of art itself, so in response to your comment saying,
It's not that deep. May I remind you, we are literally talking about Japanese cartoons. It's really not.
It in fact is that deep.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, art and politics are going to be interwoven, inherently so. Like, trying to say, like, oh, it's not that deep, or trying to, like, take politics out of it, it's literally impossible. Something that people really need to realize, the people who claim to not be political or don't want anything to deal with politics, you have to. You have to deal with it. Politics literally influence your entire way of life, whether you realize it or not. The type of car that you drive is based on the politics of the place that you live in. The type of food that you buy at a market is based on the politics of the place that you live in. It's like everything you do, whether you know about it or not, every aspect of your life has politics baked into it. Just because you want to pretend that it's not there doesn't mean it's not there. Like, the fact that you don't see a lot of like Ford F-150s in a lot of other countries outside of America is based on politics. Like, there's a reason for that. And the same goes for art. A lot of these people, like a lot of artists, are people who intrinsically so have a lot like opinions on the world, especially when it comes to politics, and do infuse those elements into the art form that they are making. Sometimes they're not doing it inherently so, but in one way or another, it is influencing their art. So like Dragon Ball could be use an example as a anime that isn't really political at all, but that doesn't mean there isn't sort of like a political message you can extract from that. For the most part, it's just a anime of a dude who is constantly getting stronger. That's it, you know, of a guy who is constantly training to become stronger and to become better. There is something you can still take out of that is a political message. Similar with One Piece. Luffy is a pirate who oftentimes fights against the government. Attack on Titan. There's a bunch of political messaging that you can take from that. Some good, some not so good. And I love Attack on Titan too. But to act as though like there is no politics in anime whatsoever is just not the case. You could definitely argue that like a lot of the problems within the anime industry is based on the politics of Japan and the harsh working conditions, the harsh working mindset that a lot of Japanese people have is like dedicates a lot of the problems that come with the anime industry, how a lot of people tend to be overworked and shit like that. I can't stand these people who try to be so apolitical in these spheres. Like, anytime you bring up the political meanings of a work of art or the way that politics influence a certain work of art or influence an industry of a certain art, they just go like, la la la, not listening, that's not true politics, this, you're making it too political, la 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 la. I'm sorry that I'm trying to take you out of like that little bubble that you have where you just pretend the world isn't political, where it's your own little space and you're the only person that matters, essentially. But like, that's not how the world works. And in a way, that is what Joey is doing when he is saying like, oh, it's not that deep, it's, you know, you're being too political. If you think that you using an analogy of these anime tourists and comparing them to colonizers is not that deep and way too political, but you're treating the entire discourse around anime tourists seriously, what does that really say about you? Like, what does that say about your like priorities and how like you like function as a voice within the community, where like just a couple, essentially what boils down to just a couple of annoying fans, a couple of annoying people within a community, treating that like it's any sort of serious discourse? I don't know where to really go with this, because like this is so silly. This is just so fucking silly. I might as well just end it here. Like, this is, I feel like I just wasted my time, because like this is so stupid. Treating this with like any sort of like serious tones, or like acting like this is actually like a pressing issue within the community that needs to be discussed, especially by somebody who has a loud voice within the community, is so fucking dumb. And it's not going to make the community any better. Gatekeeping does not make the community better. And again, in defense of Joey, he's not exactly doing that. But when you hear a lot of the language that he uses and the way that he talks about these anime tourists, he is being a pretentious gatekeeper, even if he doesn't mean to. And that's just not the way that you should be if you're a loud voice in the community. I always say, and I always believe that even if someone is being fucking annoying, even if there's somebody within a community who is being loud about their terrible fucking opinions, you should very much try to, at best, hopefully get that person to dig more into the subject at hand of what they're talking about. Like, I'm talking about like the comic book community, when it comes to like comic book movie fans and comic book fans, a lot of comic book fans tend to be very harsh towards comic book movie fans because they don't fucking read comic books, and that sucks. And I wish they did. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's a better mindset of being like trying to get these people to become comic book, whatever. I don't, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. Why am I talking about this? I hate this. I hate this. Why am I even wasting breath on this? This is so stupid. I just think gatekeeping as a way of like trying to police a certain community is never going to work, because like there's no way you can force this sort of shit. Like the only way you could really do that is just by bullying anybody that like tries to come into it because they're not like a hardcore fan out of the jump, whatever. It's so stupid. But again, this sort of discourse only becomes as big of a deal as it does because of people like Joey who do have a voice within the community, making it a big deal. And the fact that he just isn't willing to deal with any of the pushback that comes from that, I think says a lot about how he might just not be a good example for a good voice within the community. I don't know. Hopefully he realizes the sort of people who are kind of like on his side when it comes to this whole thing, and realizes that maybe the company that he is surrounded with aren't exactly the best of people. Because again, I don't want to get fucking into those sort of weirdos, but like they're very much kind of like Nux Taku in a lot of ways, if you know who that is. And I used to love Nux back like during like the late 2010s. I kind of got away from his content a bit just because I was starting to get more into other content creators. But like seeing what he has become in the last few years, it's like, it's so disappointing. But hopefully he realizes the sort of company that he's kind of keeping, even unintentionally, by doing this sort of shit. Just, if you use the term anime tourist in a serious manner, you're a fucking loser. Alright. Hello everyone, thank you for watching today's video. If you would like to see other videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe down below. If you would like to see me talk about more political stuff, then you can check out my main channel, Fruity Soar. And if you would like to see me play video games, I have a channel called Fruity Soar Gaming where you can check out those videos there. Anyways, that's all I have for today, and I'll see you all next time.